Yeah. In fact, I've heard of some other myths also, as a part
Hmm.
of payment. This is one of the myths which I keep hearing the most
Hmm.
often because of a lot of open source tools and libraries also coming up that
Hmm.
MM is fully automatable. So, I would like to switch places and ask you about that. You've already mentioned about the Flintstones curves, and we have already spoken about that. But you came up with this originally. So, let's deep dive into that and, hear from you first.
Yeah, I mean, that's another popular myth, right? That MM can be fully automated, but it's far from the truth, as you know. I mean, the analogy with respect to Flintstones is interesting because, I mean, for those of you who know the Flintstones cartoon, the Flintstones kind of, drive the car with their feet, right? There is no motor, there's no engine. I mean, the creator of Flintstone, he kind of had this 20th century or 21st century, reality, but he was like, okay, if I were to, go back into the caveman times, what would the car look like? And he thought that maybe those people in the caveman times may not be smart enough to invent, you know, motors or engines. So he just made these people, drive the car through their legs. So it's a pretense, basically. They are thinking that they're driving a car, but they're just, walking, right? So even in MMM, most of us are actually pretending, that we have totally automated MM. As you know, MM cannot be totally automated, right? It's at the end of the day, an estimation problem. It is not a prediction problem or a forecasting problem. If it were to be a forecasting problem, yes, you can fully automate things. You can just throw in a bunch of data and out comes the output. But here it's an estimation problem. You need to take a pause and see whether the MM has given you the right results. Are the sales drivers really driving the sales, or these are just variables that has been put in together just to jack up the prediction accuracy. So you need to take a pause and analyze the variables that has gone into the model. And because you need to keep analyzing it, first of all, you're taking a lot of pauses. So then in there itself, you can say that, hey, it is not automated. Automation is when, you just throw in the data, press a button, and you don't do anything in the Interium, and out comes the final result that you can just take home with, right? But here in the Interium, there's so much to analyze. There is ad stock parameters, there is the saturation curves, there's the contribution charts. Of course, we're going to talk about all this shortly, but you can see the various moving pieces, right? And the Flintstones curse is that the more you try to automate things, the worse off your model gets. I think from our lot of research, we have found that to be true. When you try to automate stuff, like for example, just automate the feature selection, right? Throw in a bunch of variables and see what the output looks like. Of course, you're going to get contribution charts, but it's going to be really unintuitive, really stupid sometimes also. Something to the tune of basis 80% or 90%. We have seen that happen quite so often. So I think that's where this Flintstones analogy fits in. We can think of ourselves as we are driving the car, but at the end of the day in MM, you will have to live with driving the car through your feet. But that's okay. Let us live in that reality. And certain things needs a lot of statistical nuance and care. And I think MM is one such domain which cannot be fully automated, but things around it can definitely be automated.